We're getting into the tail end now of Nerchio versus Harstem. Now, this was being cast live, and this is being cast by Wardy, so I really encourage you guys to check out his stream. But we are going to be getting into the tail end of it. So it's 4-1 for Nerchio currently. Neeb and Bunny are still playing their set, so once they're finished, we'll have all the replays from them, and we'll be casting those here on the channel. But I do want to stress, like, Neeb and Bunny have just finished playing. Like, these replays are about as fresh as they get. Hot off the press, if you will. We just had Stofy93 sub to the channel. New sub hype. Make sure you guys give him some claps in chat if you haven't. I don't know why it's not updating over here. And also, Mega Man Red just subbed for 11 months. Resubbed, excuse me, for 11 months. Thank you so much. I guess that was the wrong race. All right, well, we'll get that set up in a second. Nerchio versus Harstem. We're casting the end of this, and then afterwards we'll be casting Neeb versus Bunny. People are asking what's up with the challenge thing. So I guess challenge is broken or whatever reason. I don't know. There's a Wikipedia page. Here's the bracket, guys, on how this looks. So, boink, boink. One of these will be a TVT, I guess, with Euthermal versus Beastie. That means it's going to be a guaranteed Terran versus something finals. Yes! 15 maps with Terran! Yeah! But the question is, who is it going to be? Right now, we don't know the outcome of Bunny and Neeb. This could be Terran or Protestant here. I will say, I really hope it's not a TVT finals. I'm sorry, Bunny. I love you, man. I'm not rooting against you. I'm rooting against your race. I wouldn't want to see a TVT finals, potentially. But if Bunny advances, he fights either Nerchio or Harstem. Nerchio looking so favorable in both of these matchups. I wouldn't be surprised if Nerchio took this. And if it ended up being a ZvP finals, that would be super duper cool. But I really don't know, and it's too early to make guesses. We'll have to see what the other two matches look like. Again, Bunny and Neeb just finished playing or are still finishing. I don't know. We'll get the replays from them whenever they conclude their games. They're playing live right now. They'll finish playing, and hopefully we'll get those games set up ASAP. Again, I'm sorry that it has to be from replays, guys, but due to scheduling and conflicts, we had to make sure that it was something where all the players could play and all that good stuff. But you are joining us here for the, I guess, tail end of this series. It's a little bit gone one-sided. Not to say that it's over yet, but in the bottom right side is going to be the pink Protoss. He needs your cheers because he's only got 1 point on the board. It's Harstem. And his opponent in the top left is going to be the red Zerg player, Nerchio, leading 4-1 currently. Now, this is going to be like a little bit of a fun fact because I know not everybody was around to watch, but Artosis was actually streaming the other day, and one of the things asked on his stream, I think it was actually just yesterday, I don't know, my brain's a bit jumbled right now, who does he think the best foreigner is? And he said Nerchio, which I don't entirely agree with, but I also wouldn't disagree with because he is such a good player. But Nerchio was what he said, and I mean, you can see right now with a 4-1 score over somebody as good as Harstem, that's certainly impressive. Nerchio has objectively been a cool player through this map test tournament, though, because he's been doing strange things like this. For example, in his entire series versus Mana, I don't think he took the natural base or your regular natural base a single time. Instead, oftentimes reaching for the golds and the middles and the thirds of the map. Flame Juggler is also one of those maps we haven't seen a whole hell of a lot of. It does, in my opinion, look like a monkey if you tilt your head slightly to the right. The mini-map, that is. And I forgot to tweet about what's going on, so just give me 1 sec, guys. Catching the tail end of Harstem versus Nerchio. 4-1 for Nerchio. Then casting Neeb versus Bunny after. Woo! Hype! Tweets! I know a lot of you guys don't actually use Twitter, and it makes me sad that we don't have Twitter more Twitter engagement amongst the audience, but it is something where I do hope that those of you who do use Twitter appreciate the updates, I guess. I don't know. I always feel like I'm spamming, and I feel so bad. Like, I expect to lose a bunch of followers every time I, like, update about a series type thing, but that's just my weird guilt, I guess. Nerchio can be transferring workers over to that gold. Take that really quick. Again, this was a map made by somebody named Eurus. No, sorry, not Eurus. That's the map. What am I doing here? Let me just pull up the thread. I screwed that up already. Eurus was made by Uvantang, who was on the stream the other day. This is made by somebody named Fatum. Fatum Gotham, Batman. There we go. Because, of course, another part of the map contest isn't just to show great games. We've had some pretty fun games, minus a couple best of 5s or 5-0s that ended up being. We've had really, like, like pretty much 90% of the series we've been casting have been like game 8s and game 9s, and we've got to see a lot of back and forth on these maps. But a lot of this is not just to highlight the players and all this cool stuff. It is to bring some attention to the map makers, and most importantly, get some traction on the maps. Now, if you guys missed the previous series and you're not subscribed to YouTube, or sorry, to our channel here on Twitch, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know shameless sellout shout out. That was hard to say. YouTube.com/BaseTradeTV. As the VODs from the previous days are already up. Bly versus Scarlet. Again, big recommend to see Bly versus Scarlet. He didn't look so good today, but that series, man, I can't. Like, that game on Eurus specifically. Fast forward through the VOD, find the game on Eurus and watch Bly versus Scarlet. Greatest CVZ I've seen in God knows how long. Perhaps one of my favorites in all of Legacy of the Void. Red Sea Ding Dong just hit us up with a 17-month resub. Thank you very much. Alright, so coming into check his opponent's goals, seeing the Harstem hasn't taken it. I really don't know what's gone on through the series so far. Again, we just finished casting an entirely different one. Maybe Harstem's been matching him with these weird greeds. Maybe not. It is kind of cool that you've got this like in-base expansion, and it's both covered by a one ramp. So, I mean, Harstem is pretty safe to do what he'd like. It is interesting to me to see Nerchio once again, though, very intentionally not take the in-base one and instead go outside for his third. Maybe saving this for a very safe fourth later on. Maybe that's why he would want to transfer his main around. I don't know, but this was something he was very intentionally doing quite a bit of when we saw him play versus Mana. And over there, he did dominate once again this particular matchup, ZvP. It's strange, though, because there's so many different points of view on this match right now. A lot of what we've been seeing is that funny sort of feedback, like Zerg. Like, you've got, on one hand, Zerg complaining saying they need more larva. On the other hand, you got Protoss complaining saying that the win rate's too low. Like, I really don't have a strong opinion because I do feel like we do have a balanced matchup, so to speak. Unfortunately, though, even though the win-loss ratio on BaseTradeTV maybe looks a little bit more Zerg favored, that's just because we have a lot more Zerg participants. So my opinion is even skewed a little bit in that matter. Harstem doesn't have anything over here. He doesn't have enough to defend this. There's no Mothership Core in position, and these pylons are not going to be overcharged. That Adept gets surrounded. Maybe he's hoping to recall on the other side of the map, but this army, even then, might not be enough to stop these links. This third base, not even going to be finished in time. He's going to try and get up here with the Adepts and try to keep this alive. Overcharge is coming down in duplicates. Oh, maybe not both. I think he should use both. He does manage to chase this off, but scary is as scary does. That's a lot of lings and a pretty open space for him to deal with it. Oh, that Immortal! Where's the War Prism? Go scoop it up! Go scoop it up! Save that big boy! Alright. So I thought these lings were getting a lot more damage done, but I guess not too much, and Harstem does manage this as he finally gets his gold base up. He'll start catching up to Nerchio in economy. Oh, Wardy's using the WCS mod, I guess, and not our mod, so I can't check graphs. Oh, I feel so lost without my graphs, guys. I don't know how to cast without my graphs. Shout out to Funky Monkey 2012. Thank you for the 4-month resub, by the way. The Immortals and the Sentry count are fairly low, but what's nice is the amount of damage this army actually has can certainly deal with Ling Run buys if they're together. But if they're out in the middle like this and an Immortal gets caught, that's going to be bad news bears. Maybe with the Warp Prism picks it up, does save this. Scoochie Boochies. Alright, gonna Warp Prism to the high ground over here. There's a cannon to help defend. It's really nothing too much, but I mean, it will help defend. He's once again trying to put some pressure. I love that Harstem's taking advantage of the terrain on the map, really abusing the cliffside to put that pressure on Nerchio for taking this gold base. But Nerchio's past the point of needing this gold base. Losing this will hardly be devastating. He's got an entire other two bases set up. Harstem, I think, is looking to take a fight and maybe recall out of this. Guardian Shields actually help him reduce a lot of the damage coming from the Queens and the Hydras, but focusing on the hatchery and then looking to recall. Boom! Gets out of there with everything, Warp Prism included. TIL, Warp Prism stay in phase mode when recalled. Did not know that. With Heatsink for the 10-month resub and Gnomish Lich for 15 months. Thank you guys both for resubbing to the channel for such long periods of time. But man, oh man, Harstem, that was a really nice snipe, but Nerchio just takes the base back oh so casually. Nerchio on, what, 66 drones right now is not feeling too worse for wear, as his economy does continue to just flourish, I guess we'll say, behind it. The question for me is, where does Harstem move next? If we had like double or triple robo, that'd be one thing. If we had Stargates coming up, that'd be another. Actually, we do have a second robo. I missed that. So that's going to really help with this production. And with Lurkers coming into play, there's two big questions of how do you respond to this now. One is going to be, obviously, if you've got Immortals and Detection, sometimes you can just brute force through it. What we do see a lot, though, more of, I'd say, is like the trading through the Disruptors cooldown versus the cost of the Lurkers and this awkward siege up, you name it. I like when we saw this. I really liked Stargate play leading into Phoenixes picking up and just kind of lifting them out of the ground, but with the amount of Hydras that become a lot more preferable at ZvP, that option's kind of fallen out the window. We don't see a lot of people go for that anymore. Mothership Core kind of gets baited to the edge. That's awkward. She goes down. Didn't even need to fight. And I guess that's just barely enough range to pressure the mineral line. So coming back with some of the Immortals and perhaps looking to blow some of those Hydras out of the water. What I do worry about is when Lurkers are finished, Lurkers could hug that cliff pretty easily, and with an Overlord deny pretty much the entire base mining. So for Harstem, the sooner he mines this out, the more relieving I think it'll be for him. And yes, Diosode says it well in chat. The VODs on BaseTradeTV are in sub-only mode, not to punish the non-subscribers, but to push them, or you guys, towards our YouTube channel. We'd really like to build up our YouTube channel. What's kind of cool, though, is Twitch is coming out with this clips option, and that actually has got me almost convinced to take the VOD wall off more than anything else. Because I love the idea of like short clips that you can share with people, but I've really hated the way scumbag sites like Odd Shots and others like just kind of steal them, and Plays TV has been like really just taking all of our views, and it really pisses me off. So I really like that there's this like hashtag clips thing coming out next, or on the way for Twitch, and it's basically Twitch highlights. So that'd be kind of cool to see. The Twitch player is still perhaps not the best, and it's not the most optimal, but it will be really cool to see how that plays out and evolves over the next little while. So I just want to state, like, that move alone out of Twitch has perhaps convinced me to take our VOD paywall off more than anything else. But it's still new. It was only announced yesterday. We haven't really seen what it's going to entail. Now, this is a big-ass army out of Nerchio, and Harstem Zealot somehow lives. Okay, there we go, dies. It's worth noting, though, that the Immortal count, and more importantly, the upgrades for the Immortals are more than enough to take this on, but the detection is so limited here for Harstem, and Observers simply don't cut it. I think more and more we've seen players like Nerchio especially, but just Zerg in general, learning to focus fire down the Observers, making sure there's no detection for their Lurkers. This is where I think Stargates become a lot more prevalent and a lot more effective, as the Oracle Revelation is perhaps the best form of detection for those particular types of units. Nerchio just continuing to expand across the map, by the way. He is really just uncontestedly doing this. There's been no attack out of Harstem. He's been playing the defensive game all game. We do have that high ground vision that's provided through the grass, making this a little bit awkward to engage, as either team could lose vision and lose sight of the army in an instant, but despite the fact that he's got detection, it gets sniped. Now the Immortals can't fight those Lurkers. He's got to back up once again. He took out a lot of the Hydras, though. All of the Lings are gone. Most of the fodder for the army was dealt with, but it's the Lurkers that are truly the hardest thing to deal with. He's trying to make sure that Observer doesn't get sniped. We see him very intentionally microing it back. The Hydra's going down. He can finally push this back. He can break this line, and the Lurkers have got to fall back. They simply cannot deal with Archons and Immortals together, not without any support. So this was a great push out of Nerchio, but an even greater defense out of Harstem, as he does hold on to this base. Now, I don't know if the high grass vision is actually providing enough to make this too preferable for him. His army supply has dwindled, and his army itself is just not that large. But Archons and Immortals with almost +3 weapon upgrades are seriously a force to be reckoned with. Charge lots can deal with Hydras, which is really nice. Just the charge impact alone does a lot of damage, not to mention like the 16+ damage from the swings. Actually, that's only on level 1 upgrade. So how much do these even do? Oh, it's 20 damage. There you go. That's a lot more. People still asking why the challenge page is broken. I don't know what to tell you guys. I got the Wikipedia page. I'll just update that with the brackets since none of the mods did. Edit command brackets. But yes, we also have, because it's been asked again in chat, another best of 9 coming up after this. It's going to be Bunny versus Neeb. I don't know if they're still playing or not. I'll have to check in after this. Last check, they were still in game, though. They're still in like a 20-minute custom game type thing, so I don't know if that series is already over, if it's close to being finished, or what the deal is. I hope it's not already over, though, because that'd be a very quick series. In fact, my best case scenario is like getting out of this game and having downtime because we have to wait for them to finish. Game 9? Hype? Maybe? Nah. Zealot's up to the top right. You're going to find his gold base, be able to pick that off. Harstem, in the meantime, taking a great fight in the middle of the map. Has that concave to start with as he backs away from the Lurkers. And once again, the Observers are really hard to keep alive. He's making an abundantly large amount of them, though. Like, how many Observers already died? We already had, like, 1 go down early, and that got picked off. Since then, he's been a little more careful. We got 3 in play. Now, this is, like, 3 Observers that are not scouting around the map. These are 3 Observers that are just chilling with the army because they have to risk not all dying at the same time for that sake of detection. There's the top right once again. Zealot's going to massacre this. Ling's coming back to defend, but if Harstem actually fights in the mineral line, he can maybe hold on to this. There we go. Zealots versus Lings is going to go better for Zealots, I think, with these upgrades, because Zerglings and, well, Nerchio just in general doesn't have a lot of upgrades. Harstem now going for the push in the middle of the map. This is getting a little bit dire, because while Nerchio's been taking these bad trades on the other side, Harstem's been bulking up the Immortal count more than anything else. Replacing Archons, like, okay, it's costly but easy. You just warp them in instantly. Immortals take that time, and you can't really replace them with very much ease. One of the other things, too, is, oh, these Lurkers going to get caught in the middle of the map. Not enough out of position, though. Harstem can't capitalize on this. Hydra's going to be attacking down here. Looks like charge lots should be enough to defend this. Maybe not, actually. Lost so many on the warp, and he's actually just going to go for the attack and try and cut off the Lurkers. Lots of Spore Crawlers. Got to be careful with these Observers. He did start a Stargate behind this, and I'm hoping, for goodness gracious, it's going to be for Oracles. But as he moves on in, the Lurkers have taken out most of the Archons. Looks like this Observers are getting popped off. He's got to be really careful with his control. Once again, Micro's back to low health Observers. They are just barely alive. Trading out a base for a base, and maybe even two, as two Archons are sent up to the top right this time. This is going to be a little bit more effective than charge lots, but also a lot more costly if he loses them. But this might not be just simply harass and trading 22 probes, 15 workers. This might just be both players looking for kill moves. Harstem could come to the south and cut this off. Lings aplenty are coming down. I think Nerchio's also realizing this has been a lot of Zealots he's had to deal with specifically. That's where Banelings start becoming a lot more effective, as Hydras just don't cut it. As we see, charging these swipes take down those 80 health units in like seconds flat. Drones are getting put out of the base. I think you want to try and keep them alive. The Baneling nest getting picked off is going to be pretty huge, because Nerchio doesn't have Baneling speed researched yet. And now he can't use those 24 Lings he just made to turn into new Banelings. And Harstem suddenly looks to be in a phenomenal spot this game. Nerchio took up until this point to get upgrades even on like close to even footing, but Harstem's on 3-2 for upgrades. Lurkers are certainly scary, and they could ruin this game if Harstem pushes in and loses his detection, but he's been playing so cautious with these Observers, so careful not to lose them. No focus fires. The Overseer finishes so late. The Queen's trying there desperately to try to take them down, but they're not going to be able to. The Lurkers are the last stand, and it looks like Harstem will not fall. GG! Harstem takes game number 6. Now he puts it up 4-2, and hopefully, and ideally, we see an awesome comeback come. But we're going to go to a small break. Wardy's the one hosting this up. And of course, this is like technically Wardy's series, so guys, make sure to go to his channel, check it out, all that good jazz. But thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll see you soon. All right, folks, we're back, and we're loading into Shiva. Shiva Kamini. Oh, no, that's a... Hey, does anyone else here watch The League? Man, that show's got like really downhill in the last season, but I still love that show. But okay, Shiva is a map made by... I gotta find it here on the... Am I ridiculous? Where the hell is Shiva? There we go. It's made by Zale. We'll get the name up here in a second. This is the guy who made Coda, though, if you guys remember from that season of The Ladder. But this is still not over yet, but it is, however, still his last life. Despite the really nice win that we just saw go down, he's still fighting for his life. In the bottom right side of the map, it's going to be the pink Protoss Harstem, who, quick sellout, guys, you can go get a Team Harstem shirt for the Civil War still if you want to support him. And all sales from those shirts will go to him, Puck, and Showtime. Nope. Yes, those are teammates. Him, Puck, and Showtime. I think we've sold about 20 shirts now, which is pretty freaking sweet. In the top left, sadly, I don't have any shirts for him. It's going to be the Red Zerg player, Uranix Gaming's Nerchio. Now, I'm going to wait till the series is done, because I know better than to message people during the set. I mean, we had a recent incident with Snoot, but just in general, you'll hear me more often than not see on stream, like, I really wish I could message people during this, but I know better not to, and same sort of thing coming in. I don't want to mess up Nerchio's mindset or anything, but I am really curious on, like, his choice to avoid expansions where he has been avoiding expansions. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just really curious on what his thought process is. Is he saying, like, oh, it's a new map, I'll screw around? Or is he just more worried that probe pylon blocking is going to be an issue? Like, I really, truly am curious where his mindset is at for that particular move. But, finally pulled the map up over here. Shiva by Izel. Screen region. Map authors definitely getting advertised in the tournament so that we know some of the goods from the bads and all this is such. I will say, though, all 15 finalists have certainly made maps that are interesting. And there's not a single map on here I'm just like, man, that is ridiculous. I did feel that way about Dasan Station the first time we saw it. Like, 100% that's how I felt about Dasan Station the first time we saw it. But, as it turns out, if you play it in the macro sense, it's actually a pretty cool map. but there were some really silly games, and I'm really not a fan of it. But even then, I would still say that's a better map than some of the ones we've seen in the last, like, 6 or 7 months. One second. Okay, sorry. Just had to confirm with some people what's going on. But yeah, this has been really, I don't have a better way to phrase this other than interesting to see the way this particular map played out. The first thing to note, sorry as I was tabbed out, is in the middle of the map there's a lot of rocks. And on the mini-map that certainly looks strange and daunting and different, but as you can see, you can terraform the map in a strange way. Like, you can knock down rocks and destroy rocks and open up and close pathways. I think that's kind of cool. But we've had no situations in any of the games played on Shiva so far where that's been taken into effect and that's been an important detail or not. This is kind of interesting. Nerchio doesn't see the pylon. He sees the Adept, and this probably doesn't look like too much. But with Harstem putting the Mothership Core on top of this, with an overcharge, this should be able to cancel the base. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to want to give this away or if he'll wait for it to be finished or not, but this is going to certainly force a cancel and shut down a third base. And that, for Nerchio, is perhaps not according to plans of what he had in this game. It does cost Harstem the pylon and, of course, the actual dedication to do so, but I like this move. It's kind of cool and interesting to see. And I kind of made jokes about this when we saw Mana yesterday, but I was like, I would love to see him throw in like a really weird curveball, like, for example, something strange as a cannon rush, but not quite what we're seeing here, and Harstem will actually get a cancel on that base. Mothership Core should be able to get home alive. The Queen can't catch up to that. The Adept transfers out as well, so all he does is lose the pylon for a cancel on that third, but Nerchio says, screw it, fine, I'll take the gold instead. It goes to the middle, base in the middle of the map. That's kind of cool to see. Oracle coming up next at Harstem, as he did go for a Stargate behind this. I do like this quite a bit. I'm a big fan of Stargate openers in general. I think that there's a lot of good games we saw actually recently with Drogo versus Protoss that kind of exemplified why I think they're so good. But if nothing else, I think one of the hardest things Harstem had to dance with that last game was the necessity for observer control. And that's a strange thing to have to describe, but really with the lurkers constantly being there and the observers being as weak and frail as they are, it's so easy to lose them. Interesting here, the observer looking for some kills, saw the transfer to the gold base, knows the gold base is there, but with so many queens roaming around, he can't really get anything done. In fact, just going to back away. Nerchio is still investing in more queens while this goes on, so he's going to have an abundance of them, and this is pretty nice in the anticipation that there would have been Phoenix following this up, as there usually are Phoenix, not double oracles, but double oracles will certainly get kills, especially all these drones that are trying to transfer to that gold base. So Harstem is shutting down Nerchio pretty nicely here in game number 7. And again, reminding everybody that in the best of 9, we are actually really close to this. Still, one hand being over if Nerchio wins this game, but on the other, if Harstem could take this to the ace match, that would truly be epic as well. But because we do have a bit of a time to advertise here, I would like to really quick remind everybody that Wardy has been being awesome. He's been diligently casting some of the other sets today, this one included. We only jumped in because the other series with Bunny and Neeb is still going on, and I would love if you guys would do me a favor and pop over to his Twitch channel. Maybe mid-series base rate him, give him some loves, give him some hearts if you're not subbed to the channel. I'm going to link his channel here in Twitch chat, but please, I've got his chat open. I want to see some base raid going on in his chat. He's got like 300 people watching. Let's give him a couple more. Even if you don't plan to stay for the whole set, go give him some love, guys. But down here, the Watchtower has been claimed, and Nerchio has this like mishmash of units, queens, roaches, and lings alike, all moving across the map, and that is a significant amount of queens. Harstem may be better off just trying to throw down some cannons or something. I don't know if the Immortals are going to be enough or even out in time to deal with this. Pylon's absolutely necessary for more potential overcharges, and those Oracles are going to be huge when it comes to defending. But he doesn't have them in play, and he's trying to back away. He's trying to play this as safe as he can. The Ravagers are really going to force the issue, however. The Oracles can actually focus on Ravagers pretty quickly, but taking out the Queens is a much bigger priority. They're the only things that can auto-shoot up. Transfuse is going into this one Queen, though one of the Oracles barely lives through this. Backs away from the Queens, wants to focus on the Ravagers. Damage here is nothing to be underestimated. Queens with those Transfuses also looking pretty damn good. Depowering the Robo, though. Harstem going to lose one of his Robos. No production coming out of this. The Immortal's still not done. He's going to have to build a lot more pylons to make sure this base doesn't fall. But this is where both of his Robos are. This is where all his production is. This is where he falls if he loses the base. He's still not out of this yet, but that army supply is daunting. 68 to 36. He's holding on with a handful of units. The Immortal pops only to immediately be triggered with its barrier. It's going to get focused down by these Ravagers. It alone doesn't have the damage. There's no Warp Prism to shuffle around, and Harstem is losing out on this base, losing out on his life, and perhaps losing out here on the tournament. One more shot coming down top. The Mothership Core moves her out of the way, but GG, well played gets called. And ladies and gentlemen, Nerchio will take the series 5-2. Congratulations. Okay, this means Nerchio will be the one to move on to fight against the winner of Neeb versus Bunny. I still don't know if they're done yet. We're gonna go to a break and try and find out. If they are done, then we'll have replays ready to go. If they're not, we may be sitting here for a few minutes waiting. Hopefully we're not waiting too long though, guys, so do stick with us, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with a brand new best of 9. And again, these are replays, but they've just like they'll be hot off the press. Like they are fresh as they can be. No one has seen these games. We'll see you soon.